Abstract of the case study. This is a classic case of a company surely realizing the risk early, denying the allegation against them initially, and later damaging their reputation, sales, revenue, and customers' trust. However, the company, Coca-Cola, realizing the gravity of the situation, worked towards doing damage control and addressed the risks that should have been identified earlier. It is a stark reminder for many companies that think the adversities will not impact them. Once risk crystallizes, damage control costs are much higher. It is always better to identify the risk early, plan mitigation action, and avoid crisis management. In 2007, Coca-Cola started the sustainability framework Live Positively, embedded in the system at all levels, from production and packaging to distribution. The company's corporate social responsibility (CSR) policy, Live Positively, establishes 7 core areas to improve the business's sustainability practices. These core areas were 1. Beverage benefits, 2. Active, healthy living, 3. The community, 4. Energy and climate, 5. Sustainable packaging, 6. Water stewardship, and 7. Workplace. Every year, Coca-Cola publishes the Coca-Cola Company Annual Report, which has a small section on CSR and describes initiatives in community development and water preservation. Since 2001, Coca-Cola has also annually published a separate report devoted to CSR, verified by a third party. The company used to publish its progress report on the Water Stewardship Program. In 2003, the Indian NGO Centre for Science and Environment, CSE, published a report stating the presence of pesticides compared to the level exceeding the European standard in a sample of a dozen Coca-Colas in India. The report gained ample public and media attention, affecting Coca-Cola's revenues immediately. The main accusations were: 1. Its drink has higher contents of pesticides. 2. Extracted large amounts of groundwater and polluted water sources. The government set up a joint committee to carry out its tests on the beverages. The tests revealed the presence of pesticides that failed to meet European standards, but they were still considered safe under local standards. Therefore, it was concluded that Coca-Cola had not violated any national laws. In 2006, the CSE published its second test on Coca-Cola drinks, resulting in a high content of pesticides, indicating that nothing had changed. Finally, in 2008, an independent study undertaken by the Energy and Resources Institute, TERI, ended the long-standing allegations by concluding that the water used in Coca-Cola in India is free of pesticides. Coca-Cola was also accused of causing water shortages in Kerala, creating water pollution by discharging wastewater into the same communities' fields and rivers surrounding their plants. Groundwater and soil were polluted, so Indian public health authorities saw the need to post signs around wells and hand pumps advising the community that the water was unfit for human consumption. The long legal battle against Coca-Cola suffered brand damage, loss of consumer trust, and reputational damage in India and abroad. Sales dropped by 40% within 2 weeks after the release of 2003. Annual sales declined by 15% in 2003. The highly publicized conflict in India also caught consumers' attention in the US. There was a series of demonstrations by students in the US, and 10 American universities temporarily stopped selling Coca-Cola products at their campus facilities. 2 years before the water conflict in India in 2003, Coca-Cola started reporting on sustainability. By 2003, The company had already experienced a few CSR-related disputes in other parts of the world. None had as grave a consequence and loss of trust in the company and its products by consumers and the public in general. The main reason this controversy ended so badly for Coca-Cola is its response to the problem. Coca-Cola denied having produced beverages containing elevated levels of pesticides and having overexploited and polluted water resources. By rejecting all claims and trying to prove its integrity, Coca-Cola failed to regain consumers' trust and instead demonstrated concern about the situation. Coca-Cola was viewed as a corporate villain that cared more about profits than public health. In comparison, previous conflicts experienced by the company in the US and Belgium were better handled because they included stakeholder engagement in their strategy. Coca-Cola changed its strategy to include damage control measures. 2008. The company published its first environmental performance report from 2004 to 2007. Coca-Cola created the India Foundation, Anandana, working with local communities and NGOs to address regional water problems. Coca-Cola launched various community water projects. The Rainwater Harvesting Project partnered with the Central Groundwater Authority, the state groundwater boards, NGOs, and communities to address water scarcity and depletion of groundwater levels through rainwater harvesting techniques across 17 states in India, collecting and storing rainwater and preventing evaporation. The idea was to capture large quantities of good quality water that could otherwise be wasted. By returning to the ecosystem, the water used in its operations in India through water harvesting, the company expected that this project could eventually turn the company into a net zero. In the 2012 Water Stewardship and Replenish report, Coca-Cola stated that its operations in India had fully balanced groundwater used in beverage production and that replenished to nature and communities. The controversy in India was a learning experience for the company. It motivated the company to adopt a more proactive CSR policy on a global scale that focuses on water management. In June 2007, Coca-Cola implemented a water stewardship program and committed itself to reducing its operational water footprint and offsetting the water used in the company's products through locally relevant projects. To achieve those commitments, Coca-Cola established measurable objectives. 1. Reducing water use by improving water efficiency by 20% over 2004 by 2012. The latest data available from 2010 shows a 16% improvement over the 2004 baseline. 2. Recycling water through wastewater treatment and returning all water used in manufacturing processes to the environment. Coca-Cola reported holding a global portfolio of 386 community water partnerships or community-based replenishment projects. By 2011, about 35% of the water used in finished beverages was replenished. Authorities identified pesticides in the water, but the company did not acknowledge them. Water depletion was another issue that Coca-Cola should have identified and acted on early. Land and water contamination were other issues that caused the uproar. However, Coca-Cola denied all allegations against them, resulting in the setting up of an investigation committee. This led to media and public backlash, trust breaches, and a drop in sales and revenue in India and abroad. The adverse impacts were on reputation, a fall in sales and revenue, and a global fallout. However, when the gravity of the situation was understood, Coca-Cola worked with local authorities, created water treatment and rainwater resources, and worked towards replenishing water and net zero consumption. This is a classic case of realizing the after effect of crystallizing a risk that should have been identified earlier. It is also a reminder for other companies that it is always better to identify the risk and address it early. Otherwise, crisis management is costly, damages reputation, and drops sales. It takes a long time to re-establish the customer's faith. So, don't let the risk crystallize. References: 1. Torres, CAC, Garcia French, M. Hordijk, R. Nguyen, K. and Olup, L. 2012. 4 case studies on corporate social responsibility. Do conflicts affect a company's corporate social responsibility policy? Utrecht Law Review, 51-73, 2. Keitel, B. and Ruggie, G. 2005. Corporate Social Responsibility as Risk Management, a Model for Multinationals. 3. Tasneem, R. and Jane, S. 2000. Corporate Social Responsibility in India, a case study of public and private sector. IOSR Journal of Business and Management, 1906, 67-74.